All right, folks. Good evening, one and all. All right, this is the Patriot Voices on Q for yet another Friday. All right, today is what the 18th day, I believe it is, of August 2023. So August is flying away so quickly. Next 2 weeks, we will be in September, and of course, we have to look out for these bad boys the next couple of weeks. I'm talking about the hurricanes, and the storms, and the waves and all of that. Because what's third week in August to what early September, that is when it gets real hot. So we have to be on the lookout, of course. All right, folks. So my name is John Blanchard. I'm the host for tonight's program. Sitting in the studio with me is the president of the group, Mr. Washburn Coffee. You know that our brother Zah is out of state, and I believe he'll be out for the next 2 weeks, perhaps 3. I think it's more like 2. So it should be for us very shortly. And so we are doing what we have to do in the interim. All right, tonight, just to tell you that we won't have a spiritual message. It's not available tonight. And of course, the opinion page, there will be no opinion page for the next few weeks. The scribe has taken a sabbatical, so we have to do with what we have. But of course, we have a lot of hot topics that we will be touching over the next few weeks until we get back to our opinion page. So this evening, basically, we'll be looking at electoral reform, and this is the hot topic of the day. So we have to keep it on the front burner. And at the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be joining with our brother Zed Lloyd. Okay, so we can have a further discussion about electoral reform and the consultations that are taking place as we speak. All right, it's now 6:13, and we always welcome the presence of God in our midst. And after that, we will have the roll call, and then we'll go into the business of the evening. All right, so before we do anything further, let us just welcome God's presence in our midst, and I'll also call my greetings list at the same time. All right, so please take a listen at this time.
Down on my knees, I found my Jesus. Down on my knees, I found my Lord. It wasn't on the mountain.
All right, folks, let me just call the list while we listen to the music in the background. Of course, first and foremost is my Princess Kimaya and her mom, Ketika, and to me at Salisbury, Delbert Blanchard and his wife in St. Martin, Auntie Martha and Bibia and family at Tyree Spitz, Jennifer Christopher, Brother Angelo Allen, Urban Long and family, Mr. Foy and family in Kulibistri, Francine Isaac of Belleville, Rash Joseph, Jan, Wowon, Cuthbert Vidal, of course, that's our farmer down in Salisbury, Ernestine Peltier, that's Matt Peltier's mother, and your other sisters of the States, Mr. Christian in Puri, Rash Brigo at Port Michel, Edith Francois, the Tiegas Man. We have our brother Dorian, Mr. Whitney Louis, senior citizen, true patriot of the land, good evening to you, sir. Mervyn Blanchard, aka Kawi, Cyrus Raphael, better known as Sindo, from Port Michel, who currently lives in the USA. We also have our dear loving nurse, Ms. Jennifer Zavi, up here in Port Michel. I know she's locked in, so it's a good evening to you, your husband, and the rest of the family. Brother James and Daru from Good Hope, Mr. Lionel Laville, good evening to you, sir. Sandra Smith and their daughter Cressida Raymond in Connecticut, the USA. Good evening to you. We have a few ladies down here in the Tarspit area, Kalunda and Nola Michelle, Jessica, Dana, Akela, all this from Tarspit. Also Manu, better known as Security. Judith Dover, our dear sister in the Guata Village area. Susanna Rowell, Maureen, Mr. Louis Robinson, and Lofty, Earl Bruno, all the rest of the CCM members. Good evening to you guys. Also have a few of the doctors I wish to call out. Dr. Clinton Lingford, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, Dr. Dil Dangleben, Dr. Sam Christian, Dr. Irvin Pascal, Dr. Hazel Ricketts, Dr. Irvin Andre, Dr. Thomas in the Wesley area, Dr. Hendricks Paul, also my friend Jade Woodman, Edith Abraham in the USA. We have my friend down there, Val Ferry in Port Michelle, Mindy on High Street, Timeless Queen, Vivi, our flower girl. I know you're out there studying the flowers and the plants every day. I want to ask you to just keep it up. And she's also a very good patriot as well, very patriotic lady, Vivi. Sally from Warner, Jermaine from Tyree Spit, our brother Morris from Citroni, Sylvester, Sandra Sylvester from Kinfield, better known as Misan, Robinson Charles of Campbell, better known as Smaller Tiddley, Angel and Abigail, Ivan Nicholas, Dion Filbert, Brian Linton, Tony Caesar and family in Totola, our brother David C. Joseph and family, good evening to you, sir. Ronald Marie, as a Vikas man, our Munsewe guys, Buju and others. Fafa, Malonita, I know you are locked in and listening to Q95. As a matter of fact, all the programs on Q95, you're always locked in and and nothing will turn your attention away from Q95. Very true patriot of the land, senior citizen, Marlonitz. And by way of announcement, I'm going to tell you I'll come and visit you very early next week. All right. We have Agafa Samuel, better known as Carrot. We have the Bruno family in Port Michelle. John Frampton, Mapower, Janice or Hermia Bruno. We also have Shirley Allen, Pape Pale, Blue, Lucille. The family members of Mr. Ralph McGraw, Myrna Louis, that's the big pot lady in the USA. The big pot lady loves to cook. Nerika T, Jessica, my good old friend, good evening to you. Mr. Norman Chillingford, the African brother. Mrs. Doreen Francis, Auntie Betsy, that's our dear auntie and granny up there in Bath Estate. Fano, Lister George, Zed Lloyd, Blessings, Michael Coppel, Mr. and Mrs. Ozzy Luis in Amazon. Good evening to you, Mrs. Luis. I hope you are doing good. I hope and pray that God will shelter his blessings over you in abundance. We have Tyrone Theophile, Anthony Scotland, better known as Willie. Special greetings to the nurses, the doctors, lawyers, post officers, also to Mrs. Desiree John, Nurse Norma Rampel. Good evening to you and your husband. Hope you guys are doing okay. Also have Richie in Good Hope, Keith Matthew, Yolanda, Roy, and her mom Patricia. I did it, Paul, Olivia Fullerton from calling you, and of course all the other true patriots of the land, both home and abroad. Let me say greetings and best wishes to all of you. Okay, please enjoy the rest of the program. Mr. Washburn Coffee, I know you have a few guys to say hi hello to. So please go ahead.
Yeah, well, start off, of course, with my wife in Wallows. I'm sure she's listening tonight. Of course, I always like to big up my sons, one in Fort Lauderdale and the other in St. Croix. And of course, my daughter Yakima in Nevis. Not forgetting my sisters in the USA. And of course, my sister Hannah in Kinfield and Bertine Warner. Let me big up all our Kulibistry fans. Loda, the Foy, the Joseph, all the families down there in Kulibistry. All my partners there and family, Becky, you two, Wilson, John Foy. Not forgetting Marilyn, James Pascal, and Jackson Pascal. My crew in River Syric, Tinom, DC, John, Kimani, and the others. Not forgetting our Monjon friends, Jim, Andy, Ozzy, Capitan, and others. And of course, all my patrons in Pottersville, Point Michelle, Goodwill, Newtown, Not forgetting the Greenal crew, John Riviere and Sheehan, and my boy Roy Doctor tell me I must always give him a shout when I mention Greenal. One of the standing Greenal Lions. And we have Mr. Philbert in Murphy's Lane, Sprayman, Jammers in Buffett State, all our Moon Selway crew, brothers and sisters in CCM, and all our brothers and sisters, well-wishers and patrons in the diaspora. I want to say good evening to every one of you tonight, and looking forward to a very interactive program this evening.
All right, thank you very much, Brother Washburn Coffee, President of the Concerned Citizens Movement of Dominica, CCM. And we're happy to have you on board. And of course, our brother Zah Emmanuel out there in the United States of America. Let me say good evening to you, my brother. We'll see you and your children, the wife, the Kai Kai, of course, and the Kai Kai must be enjoying herself up there. So I hope you guys are having fun, all right? Okay, folks, it's now 6:22, and we are going to open up the lines for the roll call. So you could call in and see where you're calling from, and we can move on from there. The numbers to call are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, and the overseas number 305-432-9624. So feel free to call in at this time to register your presence on the CCM program this evening.
What's going on? What are you looking for? Just up? I don't know where you're going to, but I know you see the God we serving, He able to carry you through. And I got some. And you see this one will make you dance. Come on, no man. Get up. God is good. You bless her.
My brother, this one will make you dance.
Come on now. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Good evening.
To you.
Monpros is listening.
Monpros. Thank you very much. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Good evening.
To you.
Good evening.
This is Lucille. I'm listening.
Hey, Lucille.
Good evening to everybody.
Voice, man. Good evening. Your voice sounds like a 16-year-old man tonight.
I could be that too.
All right. That's a picture of 16 wrong, eh? That's 61. That's 16.
Okay, I do.
All right.
I don't know where you're going to, but I know you see the God we serving, He able to carry you through. And I got some. And you see this one will make you dance. Come on, no man. Get up. God is good. You bless her.
My brother, this one will make you dance.
Come on now.
Hey, na 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 na.
Dance.
Come and dance with me.
Dance.
Oh Lord. And you stop and look at what He's done for us to live. He gave His only Son. Still we walk around with so much hate. No time to love, we quick to segregate. But as for me, Abba, Father, I go dance like David danced. When I think of you, Abba.
Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Yes, my is locked in.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Still locked in.
Around and see what the Lord has done. For me, He gave up His Son. Well, Father is evident, and your blessing them I am come.
Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Yes, the African brother is always.
Hey, African brother, what happening, man?
Well, I into that issue.
Yes, man.
Wednesday, I asked people to come. I'll be there. I'll look here.
All right, good. Thank you.
I'm listening.
All right, nice, yeah, man. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Always right on
Huh.
cue. Come and see here, people open up your eyes.
Yeah, Bashi.
Only when we something happen to us, we will live. Don't let our leader craft our own demise.
Nothing in.
Gentlemen, we need all you to stand up for the A. And all those that are listening tonight, we have to stand up. Mr. Coffee, we have to go in the gardens on Sunday. Get your family and come in the garden. Have a blessed day. Bye
All
bye.
right, all right.
Thank you, Blue Blue.
So much hate, no time to love, be quick to segregate.
Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
You forgot to mention about the mystical article, lyrical, dan. Yeah, what happened?
All right, we're there, man.
Yeah, I'm on like onion.
On. All
All the
right.
best.
Take care, man.
For me,
Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
I haven't got unaddressed, so I cannot give you unaddressed.
Blessings. Sorry for that, sir.
Come on, John.
All right, there. You just all the vibes on the radio, man.
Okay, blessings. How is the girl now? How is
Yeah,
everybody?
everybody nice, man. You go, you didn't go. Yeah.
Mr. Coffee, blessings to you, bro.
Yeah, good day, sir, and welcome to the program.
All right, blessings. As I tell you, I haven't got unaddressed, so I cannot give you unaddressed.
Address, okay.
God blessings, right there.
We get the point. All right.
I never danced when I think of you. Abba, Father, Lord, you put me in a trance. We don't rush him on to do. Cause things nice. When Jesus in your faces, look and telling me I'm set free. Everything's sweet. Lord, I cannot refuse it. Holy Spirit, take control of me.
Why should I frown when I take a look around and see what the Lord has done? For me, He gave up His Son. Well, Father is evident.
All right, folks, it's now 6:28.
Lord, you gave me
Give you 2 more minutes and then we move on.
season A. Sing it out.
Like I said, this evening we have no spiritual message, but I'm going to play a short audio, about a minute and a half, and we'll have just a short discussion on it. It's not not so much spiritual, but it's a very good message. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Good night, gentlemen. I'll put Connecticut is listening.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Joanna, tell them again.
I'm telling you, get up and dance in your blessing. Yeah.
And see, dancing. And see, dancing.
Come and dance with me. Dance with me. Abba, Father, I know that I haven't danced when I think of you. Abba, Father, Lord, you put me in a trance. We don't rush him on to do. Cause things nice. When Jesus in your faces, look and leave me, I'm set free. Everything's sweet. Lord, I cannot refuse it. Holy Spirit, take control of me. Hey, Kingdom Atisake.
And the kingdom DJ.
Come and dance with me. Dance with me.
Dance like David.
Abba, Father, I know dance like David danced when I think of you. Abba, Father.
All right, folks, we have to pull the plug here at this point in time. And like I said earlier on, we're going to have a very short clipping, just a little under 2 minutes, and then we'll have a short discussion on it. It's a very good message, although very short, but it's a very good message. So please take a listen at this time.
A politician dies and ends up at the pearly gates. St. Peter looks at him and finds his name in his book. So you're a politician? Well, yes. Is there a problem? Oh, no, there is no problem. But we have a policy for people in your profession. You have to spend a day each in heaven and hell, and then you will be free to choose where you want to spend the rest of eternity. Why can't I choose now? Why do I have to spend a day in hell? Well, that is the policy. First, the politician spends a day in heaven. He sees angels singing and people playing harps. He finds heaven very boring for him. Next, he spends a day in hell. Upon arriving there, he expects to see barren wastelands with rivers of lava and people being boiled alive, but instead sees lush greenery and a large five-star hotel in front of him. At the hotel entrance, he sees Satan wearing a tuxedo and sipping on a martini. This isn't what I expected hell to be. Oh, hell has been completely misrepresented. We have a luxury five-star hotel with 7-course meals prepared by the best chefs. And we have all the sporting facilities you could imagine with a very large pool. All this is for free. So the politician spends the entire day playing golf and eating his meals by the poolside. At the end of the day, he sleeps in the most luxurious bed he could imagine in a very large suite. The next morning, when he wakes up, he is back at the pearly gates where St. Peter is waiting for him. So, what will it be? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I prefer hell. So the politician is transported back to hell, where he sees a barren wasteland illuminated only by the glow of rivers of lava, and hears the screams of people being tortured. The air is full of the stench of sulfur. Once again, he sees Satan in his tux. What happened to the hotel, the golf course, the pool, and all the greenery I saw yesterday? Well, yesterday we were campaigning. Today you voted.
Wow. Okay, message must be. Yeah, so that's a little, it's a short story. It's well, it's not a story, but it's a message. And I think what the guy is saying here is when the politicians are campaigning, they always give things a very nice picture. So when the guy had a choice between heaven and hell. When he saw heaven, he said he was a bit bored. When he saw hell, he saw the five-star hotel and the 7-course meal and sporting facilities, a nice bed and so on, golf course, you name it, everything is there. So he decided I will choose hell, not realizing that the day that he went there, the one day that he spent in hell, Satan was just campaigning. So of course Satan will show him nice things. But when he went back there, that was not the reality. It was the real hell where people were being tortured, where the real misery was and so on. So it happens in everyday life where the politicians go over there, particularly those in office now. When they campaign, they go out there and they spend millions of dollars and they give you a free ticket to go to all these CEOs, and all the bots are free ticket to come on the vote, and boat ride and plane rides and the free rum, free transportation, t-shirts. I mean, you name it, everything is free. So you think everything is nice and dandy. But after you cast your vote and you put them in office, then that is where the misery starts. And it is right in Dominica. That's where the hard times start, the unemployment, and all the pressure, the frustration, the abuse. And so you start to feel the real hell after you elect these people into office. It's a real joke, but it's a serious one. Yeah, what's the,
Yeah, well, it's a very short message. I took time to really get the real message from it, but it has relevance with what is going on here because sometimes we support wrong. We give value to what is immoral, to what is unethical. What is lawless. We break the law. And, as we want, and we believe that we are doing the best thing, but there is always the better side, the heavenly side, and sometimes it's difficult for us to choose that side. We prefer to go with, what is, what we see as benefiting us, what we see as enriching us. We go for these things rather than the morality and to be correct with what we do and what we see. So it has its relevance there, but that is as much as I would say.
Right, Brother Washby, you know, and sometimes when people try to figure out all sorts of things, and someone sent me a WhatsApp message, and he's saying, Judas Iscariot was a 12th disciple chosen by Jesus. Joseph Isaac is the 12th Speaker of the House of Assembly. How ironic that the 12th disciple chosen was the one who betrayed Jesus, and the 12th Speaker of the House of Assembly is the one who betrays the people of Dominica and the biggest crook of them all. Both sold their souls for 30 pieces of silver. What we always people come up with those things. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the people are thinking.
Yeah.
People are thinking. You express yourself in various ways with regards to what is taking place in your environment. So situations push people to do things that sometimes is unbelievable.
This is one or two messages from our patriots. This WhatsApp says, bro, from day one, I have a problem in Dominicans asking for electoral reform. It's not too late to start saying genuine electoral reform. If you ask me for bread and I give you the rotten one, you cannot say I did not give you bread. But it's clear to see the difference in good and bad. There's so many messages here tonight. Okay, Master Edwards, good evening. No, you're locked in from the Garden State, NG. Well, I'm not a statesman, so I really wouldn't know where that is. I know if Star is listening, you know exactly where Marcelin is listening from. All right, folks, now 6:48, so we're supposed to lock in with our brother Z, so we could just have a little music still and just have a little chit chat until that hour, and then we can, unless if brother
Well, I
was
just
you
want,
have
yeah, I wanted to
something.
make some points.
Okay, sure, good.
Since our main topic today is electoral reform, I mean, it is important that we make some relevant comments.
Indeed.
What is in the news this week is the ongoing consultation on the electoral reform, especially given the Byron report. So this is what has taken precedence this week, and many consultations have taken place over the week. We as CCM, we are yet to participate in the consultation. In fact, I thought I would have attended the one to do with professionals and intellectuals, but having regard to what I listened to in the earlier consultations, especially the one dealing with political parties, having regard to the presentation by the Honorable from Granby, if you can help me out.
Henderson, Vince.
Yeah, Vince Henderson, yes. I was completely taken aback, when I heard that particular presentation. I didn't quite follow the first one. I think the first one I heard most of it, I think, for the news reports. But I did listen to the one of the political parties. And yes, I was very taken aback because I felt for the time we have been pursuing this issue and where we were, I felt Mr. Vince said he represented the Labour Party. And I really was taken aback with his presentation because it appeared to me more of a political campaign type of speech. and many of the things he spoke to. I know this. We are not from an electoral reform coalition group. We are not in sync with many of the key points that he presented on that evening, and I felt here was an opportunity for the consultative process to really move in such a way that people get the impression that a real consultation is taking place towards some results at the end. But you could see clearly that the DLP is maintaining their tooth, and they seem. And one of the things that strike me is that during that particular session with the political parties, where the moderator was not clear as to what the position of certain presentations, like the leader of the opposition and so forth, she tried to clarify with them what was their precise position on certain aspects of the reform. But she did not do that for the Labour Party. And although the Labour Party was trying to suggest that they get the report and they read the report, and it would appear that people were making presentations not in keeping with, inconsistent with the report, as if to suggest that the opposition people failed to completely interpret and read the report. But here is the Labour Party on significant issues, just saying, well, we leave that open. They had no position. While the moderator is trying to get the position of the other parties on things like the 5-year situation, right? And Byron introduced the 90 days and the 50 days. She's trying to get the other opposition parties to say precisely which proposal they support. But yet when it came to the Labour Party, they are saying that they are open. They never take any position on 3 or 4 of the major aspects of the reform. So I started asking myself, but are these people really serious with this consultative process? And following the next day in the press, you could hear the comments. And I think at this point in time, many people are of the opinion that it might just be a waste of time.
Oh, yes.
Might just be a waste of time. I mean, some significant proposals have been put forward in terms of the process and what will come out of the consultation. It's been suggested that some committee should possibly be put in place that could work with the Electoral Reform Commission, the Electoral Reform and the Electoral Commission, to look at the presentations and to come up with some final documentation. But that is not being given a listening ear, so it suggests that the organizers may have their own objectives in mind, which are not in sync with the objectives that the populace or the citizenry expect. You know, so it is putting a stain, if I may use that word, on that whole process of consultation. You know, so as a result of that, it made me not very keen to have attended the one on the lecture with regards to the intellectuals. I listened to it. But as far as we are concerned from a CCM, looking at the schedule, I recognize that it would be most appropriate for us to make our presentation on Monday, because I recognize Monday is open to groups and organizations. So I felt that we could fit in and make our presentation at that point in time. But it is a good feeling to listen and to see what trend the discussions are taking. I think some very good presentations have been made. I listened in particular yesterday evening. Juris Andre made a very good presentation in the meeting.
Yeah, it's good. Very good.
I also like the presentation from the guy from Rosonov.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone
Nicholas.
Yeah, Mr. Nicholas from Rosonov. Mr. Baptiste, the former president of the UWP, made some significant recommendation, Mr. Libla, and so forth. So we have had some good presentations, and we have had presentations from the other side, but while in some cases some points have been made, some arguments have been made, but I still believe that, the other side, their presentation is not based on facts. It's more based on emotion, and people want to continue to vote for their party and continue to break the laws of Dominica.
Why did you say the other side? I'm not clear.
Well, I would have to say the other side, because I know those organizations and the civil society organizations which are operating within the Reform Coalition bloc, and I'm well aware of some of the main, presentations and suggestions that have been advanced by these groups. But persons who seem to support the points that the government seem to be putting forward, to me, their support for those ideas are not based on facts. It's more emotional than anything. People are suggesting that, for instance, there is a lot of emphasis about losing your rights to vote. I forget the word that was being used.
Disenfranchised.
Right.
Disenfranchised. That's nonsense.
No, the thing about it is that, there is a law which says if you are 5 years outside, that you cannot vote. That is the law that is there. That's the law that is there, and it is there for reasons. So to suggest that you have left and you have been outside for 10, 15 years and you still feel you should have your right and privilege. Yes, you have your right and your privilege, but there are conditions to that right and privilege. And while, if you come back to stay in Dominica and build back your residence in Dominica, I don't think there is a problem to that.
That's clear.
There is not a problem to that. But we have to go by what is there. And while some people are thinking that their vote might be taken away from them, they are not looking to what extent that their voting will affect the people on the ground. And that is one of the major points. Because many of our constituencies are being won by very small margins. And a few people coming from the diaspora in particular constituencies can completely determine the votes in a particular constituency.
Isaac made a point as well.
You understand what I mean?
2 votes, 5 votes.
So all these people, you are not being governed under the laws of Dominica. Why you believe that you need to come and vote?
Yeah.
I heard a guy, I think Blessings asked a question in a program this afternoon, and I think a guy responded from St. Croix. I forget the name. And he made reference to America, and if you're in St. Croix, you cannot go and vote. And he said about the different he mentioned that the United States and St. Croix, I think he said they're the same jury. I trying to quote what he said, interpret what he said, that they're the two jurisdictions and you cannot vote in one and vote in the other. But to me, it is the same thing in Dominica. We are a completely different jurisdiction. You voting in another jurisdiction in the States or in St. Croix where you reside. You still want to have another vote to come and vote here to put me under pressure.
Right.
You understand why? So I think, I mean, these people need to be fair to themselves. Nobody is trying to take away what is Dominican in you. But I have sisters in I have family overseas. They send stuff here. They come, they invest, they extend in their homes. They don't leave American come down here to vote. I mean, people need to be more sensible than that. And I believe people are it's just a matter of their, and even in the intellectual discussion, I heard some top government professionals and functionaries made some presentations. And I say to myself, man, if these are the leaders we have in the public service, and is the level of presentation they can make as intellectuals, no doubt we are where we are in terms of the management of the public service itself. You know, so these are just points as it come to mind that I am.
All right, cool. Thank you, Washby. All right. All right, so I just want to do something, a few WhatsAppers, just a few messages, because I mean they're part of the program and they want their voice to be heard as well. Well, their message to be over there as well. And one guy is saying, there are family members who actually hate other family members because they're speaking truth to power, and because they don't support the Labour Party as well. But I'm not talking about the saying, but what I'm getting from it is that family members are against all the family members because they are speaking the truth. So I just always tell people that we should live as one family in Dominica. We should not allow the politics to divide us. Be it your brother, your sister, your cousin, your friend, your neighbor. Do not allow the politics to divide us. I mean, I have many liberal friends that we could take a drink together, we could hug, we could talk, and there's absolutely no friction between us. But you have to have that sense of maturity to do that. But some people does not have it. They don't have the level of intelligence. They are not mature enough, and therefore they will take a partisan political issue and of course enmity between two friends or brothers and sisters, family, and so on. And it is sad. We have to try to get over these things.
Yeah, I just one other critical point I would like to make before we maybe hook up with Zed. Is the question of the voter ID cards and the requirements with regards to the voter ID cards. And there is a suggestion that, it should include biometric data and information, fingerprint, and so on. And I'm hearing Vince Henderson making a presentation, suggesting where he represents and where he comes from, and to suggest as if they are how I would put it, I want to make sure I use the proper word, But he's trying to suggest that, there are elements of his constituency and where he comes from that may have a problem with that fingerprint because of the link with fingerprint and detection of crime. And he's there making that presentation. So what I'm getting from him is that he would prefer not to have that fingerprint and allow crime, allow the people involved, so to speak, involved in crime, get away because they are reluctant to use fingerprint in the ID card. You know, I find that is really backward thinking, really backward thinking, and it begs the question as to where we are in relation to crime these days. These guys seem to be want to be covering up for crime, even in the process of that situation. So that leaves a lot to be desired, and I hope you know, when we make our presentation, I've been taking notes, and I hope we can make the type of presentation on Monday that would really stand up to what our members would like us to discuss on Monday.
All right, Brother Washby. Well, Washburn Coffee, I'll tell you something. I'm a team player. So if CCM decides they want to go and make a presentation and they want to be part of that mockery down here, that's fine. I won't challenge it or say no, we should not go because I'm a team player. It's a collective thing, so you guys decide you'll go in, that's fine. But personally, I find that's a waste of time. That's a waste of time. That is a Labour Party town hall that is going on there. I mean, first of all, how can you have Francis Barron chairing a meeting like that? Francis Barron actually challenged the OAS and said they were meddling in our elections in 2014, I think it was, or 2019. She actually challenged them. She's a Labour Party advocate. Look at the location. Look at where it's being held at the president's conference room. Why not neutral grounds like the PSU Center or Parish Hall? You know, to me that is just a sham.
Well,
That's just like a window dressing kind of thing to sort of legitimate what they're about to do.
Well,
But
even on that point, John, the whole legitimacy and legality of this consultative process has been questioned, and you know, you have situations where the Electoral Commission, which should be the one really undertaking that exercise, they are quiet and silent and possibly absent. You have Mrs. Barron, whatever, Francine Barron, whatever, cheering, which is not, to me, I mean, you should have somebody that would portray a more type of neutral position, you know, to make it look authentic and purposeful, you know. And then
so what do you guys go there and do?
And then you have the situation where you have these people, the people from the Commonwealth and OECS and Caricom. The government rejected reports submitted by these organizations. Yet these organizations are finding themselves back in a consultative process. To do what? I mean, I can understand some of them maybe want to come and enjoy, they get a trip, they want to come and enjoy the warm water and maybe the beach and the sea and our natural beauty. So they don't mind being there. Yeah. But these are reputable organizations, and they have the government of Dominica really, you know, not being serious about them at all. You know, so I think all of this needs to be looked at very carefully. And even in terms of the venues identified for the discussion. I mean, if you're really talking about community discussions, I mean, come on. You cannot tell me you are having a community discussion in the Carib territory for the East. Now the East represents from Delices, River Zurich, La Plaine. So even people would have to travel from there through bad roads to get to Carib territory to attend a session like that. I mean, you should have a session at least in La Plaine for the Southeast. A big caption area like Roseau. Yes, you have these discussions in the President House, but you could have a more community event in Roseau, the capital, that would maybe attract people from the closer West Coast villages. But if you have to go to Roseau to one of those community sessions, you have to go to Grand Bay. If you're from Scottsdale, you have to go to Grand Bay. And I find that is not good enough in terms of the way these community discussions have been scheduled. So you ask yourself, what is the intent by the organizers? And the areas they have identified for these community discussions, they are all in the boyo of the labor camp, which leaves a lot to be desired, which leaves a lot to be questioned. You know, so these are some of the problems, you know, associated with the so-called consultative process.
All right, Wasby. Thanks for that. But so that's why I said earlier on is Labour Party town hall meetings that are being held, and to me that whole thing there is almost like a debate. I thought persons would be out there making the points, looking at Byron's reports, commenting on it, and having their own recommendations, so to speak, and something. But you're having like a back and forth, like it's almost it's a debate. You know, someone says something and other guy call and say, "I disagree with the last person." And what is that about? That's not the hot seat or some talk show. It should not be. So, because the thing is just poorly organized the way it is being brought forward, and the mere fact you have all these labor politicians being part of it and taking the lead, like the Prime Minister and Daru and Francine Baron. To me, it's the whole Labour Party nonsense that is going on there, and that's how I see it, and that's how I shall say it.
Where we are now, we should really be coming to the end. We should have, in fact, that process should have ended long time ago. But it would appear that it's recommencing. It's like another cycle recommencing. And you ask yourself, when will this end? When will this end?
I'm trying to get Zed connected, so I'm just going to play the music so I can talk to him on the phone. Okay, so let's just take a little break at this time.
Fine.
They suck up the country, the blood of the country. Yeah. Politicians, suck it up, greedy black man. Suck it up, they suck up with country, the blood of my country. Hey, how do you look it? Hey, Reban Sukuyaki, oh yeah, Reban Sukuyama. Hey, anybody with some red agenda, walk across a bag of sand, walk across a garlic, we stopping them this year. Reban Sukuyaki, oh yeah, Reban Sukuyaki. Look it. Hey, let me go. They sucking left, they sucking right, anything inside. I always understood that the country was doing good. Whoa! But parasites and leeches sucked up my country juices. Well, they sucked it very well. For their personal gain, you'll listen say over again. IMF never had to come down here to advise us on how we should take care. We shot a cow to kill a fly flew away and the damn cow die. I wonder why. They suck up the country, dry blood. They suck up the country, dry. Oh mama, why? Politicians sucking it, lazy black men with no ambition sucking it. Like vacuum they suck it up, civil servants, local merchants, look like Wuhan sucking it. Like vacuum they sucking it dry. They're giving away accuracy for speed, all because of our greed. Cutting
nose to spite me face. Now his waist, man have to brace. This up in we country, this up in we country, dry Lord. This up in we country, this up in we country, dry Lord. Boom. Watch it. Levan Sukuyaki, oh yeah, Levan Sukuya. Hey, Father Thomas, I'm going by you. I need some holy water and a big piece of gum. We're smoking them. We're coming through. Levan Sukuyaki, oh yeah, Levan Sukuya, mama. Hey, let me go, let me go. They're sucking left, they're sucking right, anything inside. The last much I could tell, local music was selling.
Yo.
But local music pirating wouldn't stop. Well.
I inside.
Pirating me well. To record we go through loan while they sit down, relax and burn. Like some people just don't have a heart. Why you trying to tell music?
Brother said.
Yeah, greetings. I'm here.
Brother Zen, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? All right, great.
Well, loud and clear, and I'm seeing you.
Great.
Well.
Let me just fix this up, man. 1 second.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yes. Can you hear clearly?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Yeah. All right, Teddy. So how things?
I'm good, brother. A bit frustrated, but still happy. You know that at least some people use the opportunity this week to do some good PR. So I'm happy for that. You know, I'm happy for that.
I listened to you last night, but I just thought to myself, you're a bit brief.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of people, you know, and so I'm like that. I try to allow everybody a chance to speak. I was hoping I could come back. I kept my hand up, but she didn't come back to me. But I thought where I had to touch was, you know, where I needed to touch, at least make sure it's understood, because I think a lot of people. Yeah, I just lost you, but I can hear you clearly.
Okay, you listen as well.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. So what happens, Mr. President, is a lot of times we have conversations from a personal perspective. And that's very common in Dominica. Everything is personal. So what I'm saying is, if for instance, you look at this the issue of people coming to vote or not coming to vote, if you look at it as a personal issue, then it's an entirely different argument in your head. All you're seeing is your interest. You understand? But if you look at the issue in a spherical manner, in a global manner, if you look at it and see what it is, from a position, just from a basic position of righteousness, you know, we're a Christian nation, right? And I heard people a lot of times last night about God and about, but the conversation that we having is an anti-God conversation, you know, because here's what you justify in you. You justifying something that the Bible doesn't even justify, that it only happens when someone is cursed, where you're actually playing a part to enforce a government upon somebody else. In the Bible, you know, if you deal with Christian doctrine, the act itself is an unrighteous act, you know. Forget about all the other things, just as Christian doctrine. If you look at it, the only time you have people imposing on anybody else is as a curse, ain't it?
That's right, yeah.
It's as a curse. But that is what you're doing indirectly. But here's the bigger issue. Quite a few of the people who really want to vote genuinely love Dominica. They genuinely love Dominica, you know.
Yeah,
apart from them,
yeah, you're right.
I mean, apart from them Roosevelt thing and what Roosevelt them trying to deal, and we're going to deal with it in a while because there is solution. But you have some people that genuinely love their country and they want to be involved in
Part of it,
Dominica. They
yeah.
really want they want to be a part of Dominica. And they associate the vote with the umbilical cord, which again is part of our problem. We have not educated our people politically. You understand? The least umbilical thing that you have with you is your vote. You know, it is the most transitive. So the issue is, instead of having this contentious issue which is benefiting the Dominica Labour Party, and mark you, everything in Dominica is always presented contentiously. And there's a reason. Because you see, when you deal with contentious presentation, you never have dialogue. The people never get to talk at a level-headed point of conversation. And that is engineered by the senior council, you know. That's why everything legally government comes in a contentious way. There is never a sense of organizing the law so it can be non-contentious and still be valid and still be just. That is just never employed by this government and its legal arm. Never employed. You understand? So you have an attorney general that has had nothing to the conversation legally. His entire tenure has been more like a rubber stamp tenure. This brother has never sat down and talked to us legally. And for anybody to leave the table and feel convinced and good that you have somebody of legal mind running the place legally.
Yeah.
You understand? So here we have a law where the attorney general could take what the man give him, you know, and sit down and look at the thing in the best interest of the nation and present an alternative. Be one of those people saying, listen, this is where I think we should go. Where is the guidance? Where is nothing? All he does is fight what the government presents when we detract from it. You understand? So we could organize something that enables these people who really care about Dominica, whether they're getting ticket or not, that really want to vote in Dominica and impact Dominica, and those people who are on the ground. We could get rid of all these residency issues, because the people in the diaspora, we organize them to vote in diaspora's interest, which is also Dominica's interest. So their thing, we don't have to spend money to go and confirm nobody over there. We don't have to spend nobody's taxpayers' money in Dominica to facilitate diasporans to partake in their patriotic process that they think they deserve to be at home. We can organize a law that allows them to vote in a fair, weighted system, not as open as Roosevelt carried wants it, where everybody can come and vote. It cannot work. It's not because we don't love you in the diaspora. It's because if all of you come and vote, the people in Dominica do not have any political voice anymore. And it would be unjust to pass a law that doesn't safeguard that this doesn't happen. And the kind of law that Roosevelt carried and them is proposing, the solution, it does not safeguard that. You understand? So if the Attorney General is really about the interests of the country, what we'll do is realize, let us talk. Ruthie Douglas gave us the blueprint already. You know, mathematically it is valid, because it doesn't matter how many millions of people in the foreign, they can never outweigh the people on land, because the people on land will be doing their individual constituency votes. These people in foreign will be supporting what party they want to support. So they will be casting their vote. If it's UWP you want, you will cast your UWP vote. You will not affect Marigot. You will not affect Casibros. You will not affect La Plaine, but you will affect the election, because you voting here on a weighted concept. This is computer technology. You don't need no big administration thing. We haven't got to spend no money out of foreign. We haven't got to worry about who die, who don't die, because the system is now mathematically weighted. It's different. You understand? So we can solve the problem, and people in Dominica can go and vote, and people in foreign can go and vote, and everybody can participate in the democratic process. These guys don't want that. That is not what they want. The empowerment they're talking about, it's not about the people. The empowerment is about them in that arrangement that they're presenting to us. Them. Them. And so the people in the diaspora, they need to make the difference between what they wanting to vote and the solution that enables them to vote fairly and justly. It is very important that we include that in the diagram. Justly and fairly.
That all right, let me just try to clarify something with you, because I want to get it right, to ensure that what you're saying I understand it properly. Are you saying that that Dominicans living out of Dominica, we call them diasporans, just like that weird, but anyhow, um, they would stay wherever they are, be it in America, be it in Antigua, Barbados, wherever, and they could vote up there for a
It'll be a
candidate.
digital vote. It'll be a digital vote. It's
Right,
a
so they
digital
vote
vote.
for candidate of the choice. No, I'm asking.
Well, really, it's their party they're supporting. It's really their party. The party puts up somebody out there. The next party, that's the diaspora candidates.
One person, one seat.
Yeah. Whoever the parties are, once the electoral commission board certifies these candidates as valid people that can go up for these parties, the rest is up to foreign. That's just digital calculation. You don't need no administrative office. They're not affected. You don't need nothing to stress that vibes. No money to be spent on that.
So they're not voting according to constituencies per se, Cassie Bruce or Marigot or Salisbury, whatever it is. They're voting.
You get it. It's a weighted system. WEIGHTED. It's weighted. So in the scheme of things, there is a weighted setup to make it balanced.
Right. No, I'm
seeking
that clarification because I made that point several months ago, and some people felt like I was crazy to even say that because the point I was making is rather than saying that people from the diaspora, people out there, cannot participate in the election, why don't we have one seat in parliament to represent these people? So your LP sends up a candidate, Labour sends up one, Freedom, whatever it is. So you have three candidates.
Exactly.
And you do your voting and so on. And whichever candidate wins, you win that seat for the diasporans in parliament.
Yeah, so if you Labour right, you Labour right. If it's scary, you want to give your vote to the Labour Party. It's cool.
Right. Because right now, the way it's happening, it is very wrong. And it is not fair to us because the diasporans can actually be responsible for giving the Labour Party 6 seats right now.
It is disenfranchising. They're talking about disenfranchisement. The way it is now, that is what is disenfranchising.
Dominicans living here because you come in and you dump 200 people in Castle Bruce. You dump 200 in La Plaine and you win that seat because these seats are normally won marginally. Like 10
yes.
Votes,
you see, and John, I'm glad.
Votes. Marginal.
John, give me a second, please.
Yeah, sure.
Before I forget. There. You see that thing you talk about, the marginal?
Yeah.
You see, boy, I'm so glad you brought that up. And let's talk about this for a minute. A lot of folks always use America, all things, but they don't understand. A lot of things work in America because of the size of its population.
That's correct. Numbers.
You see, the volume of people that America possesses, the number of people that it takes to move the meter mathematically is so great that it never happens in that kind of context externally to shift the meter in America. And it's very important that we understand that we have to look at the mathematics when we discuss these things. We seem to think numbers is a real thing, bro. Real thing. So you see, but here you take Dominica, where 60 votes can make a difference in Grand Four, and 6 votes can make a difference in
20 votes, 5 votes.
You cannot take the American blueprint and just paste it over America. Your solutions has to be endemic to your reality.
In fact, I just wanted to just put in a word of caution here. I have been reading an article which came to me on social media today, and just a few lines. It is actually talking about out of country voting, and it mentions political influence, and it says before a nation decides to enfranchise its diaspora, it needs to carefully consider the potential political implications of diaspora voting. This is exactly the case when a nation has a large diaspora population compared to the domestic population. In such cases, the diaspora can have a more substantial influence on the electoral result.
Exactly. That's why we're waiting it. That's why
A
we're
very
waiting the system.
interesting
When we wait
article.
it,
Yes.
when we wait it, we bring back the balance. So that's what the diaspora constituencies do. There are mechanisms by which we can now wait the system back so that we bring back balance into the system because of the large volume that outnumbers the local populace. You can go into any court and win any case like that on a law. But you see that law these guys going to pass there, we can strike that law down, challenge it instantaneously because there's not even Caribbean precedence there is to the law. The volume of
Exactly.
people in the diaspora is a threat to the enfranchisement of the people on the ground, bro. That is just basic mathematics. And any law that intends to address this justly and wants to involve all Dominicans in not being disenfranchised, it has to organize a weighted system that reflects a mechanism that ensures that balance and that the disruption does not take place in the system. And if these guys are serious about solution, this is the kind of conversation we should be having this week. Not one that dividing us because it benefits us. It's the division that keeps working in these guys' favor. I'm happy I had Lennox today come and discuss about this idea too and Ruzi. But we should have been boldly proclaiming that. You see, the PR battle is being lost by the opposition movement because they do not pay attention to PR. You have to pay attention to PR. That's 90% of your movement. You understand?
Yeah, Zed, I just want to read a comment there or some concerns by WhatsApper. And it's something I ask myself as well. I'm not going to read everything, it's a bit lengthy, but just take the main thing of it. And it was just asking the question, where is the Electoral Commission in the consultation process? The Commission is supposed to be the lead agency in this exercise. However, it is conspicuously absent and also silent. Instead, the government, or it appears to be the Labour Party, is the lead. PM appoints Daru, Dr. Daru, that's a Labour Party advocate. Coordinator, like I said earlier on, Francine Baron, another Labour Party advocate. She's the chairperson. The PM entire cabinet, Antonio Stephans, at every meeting, almost like an intimidation tactic. You ask to send further questions or seek clarification to the CAPSEC, who is under the direct supervision of the PM, instead of sending these matters to the Commission. This is so crazy and a case of electoral reform consultation hijacked. We have to let these guys know that we will not allow them to get away with this. Let Wednesday be the start of the major national protest. And that's also my point. Where is the Electoral Commission in all of that? I mean, you have a consultation on electoral reform, and you have the chairperson of the commission sitting in the crowd like anybody else with his legs crossed, like a visitor. The man is like a visitor at the at the center up there, rather than being at the forefront and taking the lead. He should be chairing that meeting or the chief election officer, not Francine Baron. That's why I said that this is a Labour Party town hall meeting that is going on. And personally, I
But
won't find myself there. If I have to be up there, it will be on the outside. It will be on the outside to clear to send a clear message to these guys. So I rather just stay out. But like I said, I'm a team player. So if CCM decides they want to go and listen or participate, that's fine. Go ahead. Go and waste all the time, bro. Go and waste all the time. Because to me, that is just a sham, a window dressing nonsense that is taking place there. That's my views on
well,
it.
all right, Mr. President, I'll come in after you. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to echo the point that Blanchard just made, I spoke about, I made reference to it earlier. The way this whole process is constituted and you can see what is happening over the past days. I mean, it leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves a lot of questions. And no doubt the citizenry have a right, like, some of the questions, some of the concerns being raised by that, by what John just read there. But we need to get serious and we need to see a real end to this thing. And to the extent that last week, in my closing remarks, I particularly mentioned that in terms of where we are going, I mean, I see the need for citizens' involvement, and so forth, for the citizens to really take, right? I said that there is an element of frustration in this process, and that it calls for something like a national strike, a citizens' movement and resistance, even involving civil disobedience. So, to the extent that a major rally is being planned for next week, I think that is well in line with some of those suggestions, so that at least the citizenry can put boots on the ground, so that the administration can recognize that we have reached a frustration point, and we need to show that in no uncertain terms.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you see, remember, John,
Yeah,
everybody keeps asking about where's the electoral commission,
yeah,
but where's the people? Remember, when Hillary and them was trying to get empowered so that they could make sure the people didn't come behind them, is where's the people. The, the people are not involved in this process, and if they're not involved in this process, the electoral reform council is not, and then the electoral council is still getting stress from the government side of things, which is supposed to give it respect and freedom to be an independent body. So all wrong, we have lost, and the people have not, because if the people had stood up with Hillary and Jeff, when the man them come and say, listen, it's that time, where we are right now will be an entirely different place. Keep that in mind. All this thing that we talking there, if we had just come together when Hillary and James say it's that time, if we had just made that move as a people, we would not be where we are today. And you can take that to the bank. Roosevelt Scare would not even maybe even be the one calling that consultation if we had made that move back then. So it is the people. And you see now here's the thing where it's even more critical again. There are laws in there already, brothers. Keep in mind, there are, other than financial reform, there are enough laws inside there to run an election fairly if the government decides to be a fair government. Understand that. It is the enforcement of these laws that is not taking place.
Yeah, we have
Keep that in
always
mind.
made that point here. As CCM, we
You
have always
understand?
strongly made that point.
Keep that in mind. So so that means the institutions are negated. They know. So, and then this prime minister comes and he says he wants to be in a rush to do electoral reform without constitutional reform. My brother, the reason why the laws that they are not being impacted is telling us that we have to do constitutional reform. When we go down this legal road, we have to go down this legal road as a nation. We have to have a group of solutions in our hand where we have objective solutions to our problems, and we don't have to come back to this thing again. We must empower the police chief. We must take out the attorney general under the prime minister. We must do these
yeah.
things, because if we don't create the empowerment for the chief of police to be elected by us, for the attorney general to be elected by us, for the public officer, the prosecutor to be under our
Judge, the
vibes,
magistrates, yeah.
our vibes. We cannot empower nothing. We cannot create the empowerment for executing the constitution and the laws,
Yeah,
brethren.
yeah,
So we must go there, not just on electoral reform. We must address the constitution. Part of our reason why we're having a problem is our constitution has not taken us as the masses into the equation. It has taken the prime minister for us.
yeah.
We have to
In fact,
redefine that plan. We have to redefine that, brethren.
in fact,
And
we
we're talking seriously about independence and growing as a nation. This moment here, right here, is birth time. And we have to take them man to task legally to address the country legally, because we need to re-empower our institutions of civic empowerment in our constitution.
And that there lies the problem, because you see, the prime minister has so much power, and the power is given to him in that very same constitution. I mean,
The people have more power.
when you
The
have
people
to
have more power than
appoint,
him.
but when you have to appoint a judge, you appoint a magistrate, you appoint the commissioner of police, the DPP, all of these things, the politicians are appointing them, and that is dangerous. So they're actually
And
working
that's
for
what we want to
you.
change.
They're working for you and not for the people, and that needs to change.
Yeah.
Someone has a concern, and the person is concern is that the OAS and the Commonwealth Secretariat are observing the consultations going on as we speak. That is the electoral reform consultations. But has
Yeah.
but has the question been posed to the present government why they have not in 15 years accepted the electoral recommendations given by those agencies just mentioned and others? These guys
Well,
gave
John,
regulations in 2014, in I think 2009 as well, 2014 and 2019. And to date, the Electoral Commission and or the government has not implemented one of these recommendations. And the OAS and the secretary, they are also there at do something, they are at the consultation listening,
but
participating.
John, but John, you could go to the consultation and make that presentation. I hear you talking about this sham. John, public relations. This is the best opportunity to talk to the whole nation. Everybody is listening to the consultation. You must be at the consultation if you're serious about change. It is not because the constitution is illegal or legal. It has nothing to do with it. You have to win the public relations war. That is the war Roosevelt Scary keeps winning. You must be there.
Brother said, be assured that I will make a presentation on behalf of
Yes.
CCM on Monday.
You have to be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. But brother said,
So what's the time, man?
Again, there are a couple points I just want to highlight. Where we are now, we would want to think we would have been way ahead from where we were in 2015. In 2015, when the government tried to amend the relevant legislation, there was some demonstration and they postponed the passing those amendments. We are many years down the road, and these guys are still at that same point, with those same type of amendments, They have not moved one iota to based on what the public is requesting for through their civic organization. Those guys are on the same point they were in 2015. So that is one of the difficulties. Now, on the question of enforcement, I think there's a Nicholas guy who ran as an independent representing Rozunov, and we very much emphasize that element of enforcement. In fact, his suggestion was, notwithstanding whatever new laws that may be put in place, unless you have a regime of enforcement, effective enforcement by the commission, by the electoral commission, everything we're doing today and yesterday might be lost. Enforcement is very key. And
most critical.
Another aspect of the discussion, there is a lot of emphasis that the whole process should be incremental. But this is a government that have been there for 23 years, Where has been the incremental process in the electoral reform over those years? None at all. A member of the Labour Party, Kasani Laville, making his presentation, talking about incremental process. What has been done by his party over 23 years to demonstrate any incremental process? We are just spinning around like a top. You know, so those guys, there's a lot that has to be done. And I think sometimes them guys try to misconstrue the fact. Because in Mr. Nicholas George presentation, when he was making some point on the new legislation to do with campaign finance reform, the man was talking about the capping for expenditure by parties, and you have people like Kasani Laville and even the Prime Minister running with this nonsense about
I think Byron has a $5 billion capping.
Yeah, the man running about and telling people that they have to pay $50 per person for election, and that as a young person he couldn't get $50. I mean, that is misconstruing the facts. And there are people in the diaspora running with that. And that is misconstruing the facts. Misconstruing the facts. You know, so
you know,
this is why the citizenry have to take this thing in their hands. And I support and I will encourage.
Guys, I see it's after 8 o'clock, and let's just take 1 or 2 calls, and then is there 1 or 2 calls?
Yeah.
We'll be trying to interact.
Sure.
Yes. Good evening, caller. You're right in queue.
Hey, gentlemen, blessings. What's up?
Yeah, man, nice.
You listen to an attorney at law, Vince Henderson. He sounded like he was telling Dominicans, if you go to the biometric data, that turn you into a criminal. Did anybody interpret that?
Yeah, you're right.
He said,
good observation.
He said he's from St. Joseph and he's Grand Bay Pal rep. And he can tell you how much people hate the fingerprints being taken. A lawyer.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, he said fingerprinting have links with
criminality.
With criminality.
Can you imagine
which
that, man?
means he's trying to cover criminality.
Yeah, some criminal connotation with your fingerprints being taken. So if you have a cell phone, is that a criminal? They have you covered, you know, John. They listen to everything on a global scale. So that turns you into a criminal having a cell phone. Just quickly.
Exactly.
Just quickly. Look at the U.S. territories. They're paying the national and federal taxes, you know, John. And they cannot take part with the inclusion of Puerto Rico and Alaska. But all these other U.S. territories, they're paying the national and federal taxes, and they cannot vote in the U.S. And even we in Dominica, John, you are specified or designated to vote in a particular polling station. You cannot go and vote in any polling station, John.
That is true.
There are rules and regulation and everything. You have some people in Dominica, very educated people, trying to give some ignorant and uneducated diasporans like myself the impression it doesn't matter if you die, nobody cannot remove your name.
Yeah.
If you stay 40 years overseas, nobody cannot. So in Dominica, there are no rules and laws and regulations and constitution. You do whatever the hell you want because that's what Skerrit said from day one. No law. Not even the Constitution. Thanks for all your time, brother.
Yeah, I'm happy you said that blessings, because you know you look at all these guys like Vince and that other guy. This is also a doctor, some Jacques person.
Yeah.
And you know these guys are supposedly intelligent or qualified, and to be making such foolish comments like this Jacques guy said that we Dominicans try to we not try to, but we misinterpret Tony Astafan's email. Can you imagine that? An email that was straightforward, telling Scary that thank you, blessings. Telling Scary that madness is going on up there at the electoral office, and feathers are talking about cleansing voters list and issuing ID cards, and that will affect your winning legacy. I mean, that is English, straightforward, straight to the point. And the man is saying he's supposed to be a doctor, I was told, in terms of qualifications. The man is saying that we misunderstood and we are mischievous and it's misinformation and it's disinformation and laws that should pass laws to deal with these things. I mean, can you imagine somebody saying that? But I got to know that he is
and a head of department.
Yeah, I understood he's a PS. I mean, these are the kind of people running Dominica. Lord have mercy on us, man. Policymakers.
That is why the
talking this nonsense.
Public service management is so skewed.
Give me a break.
Ineffective.
Yes, yes. Go
John,
ahead.
you want to take another call and then?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, caller. You're right on cue.
Hey, my brother, what's up, man?
Every good man. What's happening? What's happening?
Okay, I'm pretty good. Listen to me.
Nice.
Listen to me carefully. Please show up at that meeting. Please. You might be surprised that you guys might make a big difference. Do not sit the back on it. Just go up and say what you got to say, and just show up and make a difference. You could make a difference. And please, that letter of Tony Astafan, you'd be surprised to know if you read that letter.
Email, yeah.
Because I have not heard anybody read that letter. Nobody. So please,
good point.
Whenever you guys go up there and you guys show your face, please.
Right.
You guys will make a big difference.
Okay. Well, the president has been mandated to be there. Okay, bro. Thank you very much.
I think another call was coming.
All right. Let's another caller. Didn't call you right on cue.
Quickly, John.
Sure.
I am not telling you not to go. I'm not telling you to go, but I hold your same argument, John. I go to a doctor. You did not consult me. You take me to theater. You remove my good kidney, and then you consult me. And you want me to join you in your argument? No, I call in all the lawyers in the world. Want to consult me, and one minute to just carry those fast. He wants the process to take place.
Yeah.
Because he has us right where he wants us. He contacted Byron, illegal. He sidelined the commission, illegal.
I like this.
He gets OAS, CARICOM, and why is the other one named the Commonwealth?
Yeah, Commonwealth. Oh, yes.
He rejected all their up-to-date
recommendations. Yeah, for years, yeah.
Nothing antiquated they were recommending, you know. Electoral.
Best practice all over the world. Yeah.
And you rejected it. No, they come for the rum and the party, John, or the CO. Which one? Have a blessed gentlemen.
John, I want to answer that that point of blessings. It's important.
Right.
You see, blessings. What he's saying there is true, but we have to extract. You see, here's a mistake that we have never. I don't see how we have never digested it. You see, observers, John. Observers observe. That's what they are. They observe. And this movement for electoral reform, John, repeatedly, every time these observers come to town, is when the movement is at its quietest. And you know what's sad? When the observers go and they write their report, the morning after the report, we're on mark. We're like the loudest thing in the world. And we expect them to be writing something. Like, how did I write that? How did I write that? But every time they come to town, we disappear. That's why I'm telling you, it has to be a two-pronged approach. You see, this boycott cannot be an absentee boycott. It's an attendance boycott. It is a revolutionary boycott. And I'm not talking about no guns. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is this boycott of this thing is not one where you stay home, John. It's one where you go there with your placard and your people and your mask, where you speak at the microphone. It's one where your point of view, you have to show it, because you're not going to get a better audience than this nationally. And it's very important that we digest that properly. We must digest that. We have to represent. We have to make sure that these people who are observing understand that there is a mass of people in Dominica who are totally dissatisfied with this process. We are participating, because if we do not participate, we will be sidelined automatically. So we are here, but we are telling you we are not satisfied with this process, and we want to make sure that this goes down in your observation.
Right.
And so the job of you, John, is not to sit your ass in Point Michelle, is to be down there with your placard.
But we'll be making our voice for sure on Monday. Let's see.
The president has been mandated, Brother Zed, so he will
This is bigger than the president.
he will
This is
represent
bigger than
CCM.
the president. This is a citizenry thing. Like in your consciousness as a citizen, you have to digest it. We have to represent. It's not about going to the call. It's not about going to the consultation. You have to, for how much years? 15 years you fight in that war, John, and the war is on the battlefront. And you're in your house, the war is on the battlefront.
Well, there's something coming up, Brother Zed. We'll make some noise next week,
But
Wednesday.
I'm just saying, bro, these observers, the message you leave them is very important to your posture. Very important.
Agreed. I think some calls coming in. Let's take some calls.
Good evening, caller. You're right to the queue. Good evening, caller.
Yes, my brother. What's up? What's up, my
Yeah, man,
brother?
we're good, man, we're good.
Well, I just listening and trying to take the little 1 and 2 and try to make it free.
Right.
But my brothers, I hear you saying that you're not going nowhere. You have to go. That is the strategy that the prime minister is using. When you do those things, you know certain of you all is not going to exercise the power of your mouth. So he's taking advantage of it. And now is the real time, as Zed is saying, and I want to support Zed 600%. You know, Zed is my partner from a long time. He ran away a long time, and Zed know the truth. The man Zed used to stick together, you understand? And what Zed saying is absolutely right. Dominicans, which is the heads, the educated ones that can read the fools to understand the circumstances of life, always sitting back. So Roosevelt Skerrit is laughing. Why Roosevelt Skerrit? Let me ask you something, and you can answer me if you want or don't answer me. There is a straightforward thing. Why do you think that the Prime Minister did not take that debate to the Windsor Park and he took it to the State House? Why do you think so?
If I take it to the Windsor Park, it has been too chaotic, man.
Let me tell you why the Prime Minister do that. The Prime Minister did that because he don't want the masses, which is those that he are feeding with their little 10 cents and hit me, to understand the circumstances of what he's doing, so the masses now can come and everybody can voice their opinion. So let me see on the national radio. Mr. Prime Minister and the President in my residence, I'm now calling on you because I understand that you're going from your mouth, your colleague's mouth, that you're going to Portsmouth and Carib Reserve. What about the Windsor Park where you are using for all festivals, that we are going to have that same debate one day in the Windsor Park, and everybody, the families, the children, the one graduate student from college will come and voice their opinion. And you, Mr. Prime Minister, will be answering exactly what they are asking you about electoral reform and letting the country be better for them to eat the fruits that they used to eat before. But you are taking it to the president's house where that we cannot see good like when we are stepping in. I say you are not fair, and this debate is not fair after a sham election.
All right, caller. Thank you very much.
I am just
Respect.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, caller. You're right to the queue. Take one more call, 2 more calls, and move on. Good evening, caller.
Yes, John Blanchard. Let me explain something to you. I'm listening to you on Zed, and I'd like to really agree with Zed, but on the basis that you are the president of CCM.
No, I'm not.
I'm not only
I'm not. Coffee is president. Coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, the fact I'm trying to get to is what Zed is saying. The more participation, the more effective you're going to be, especially when you have foreign eyes who is going to bring more attention to your cause. And I also would like to inject that on every platform that this guy go, you all should have a mass of people there. from all organizations.
Exactly.
When it goes to Granby, you take them there. When it goes to Portsmouth, you take them there because here's what's taking place. They're taking
Exactly.
the consultation in labor stronghold, and it's intentional. The venue in the president's house was intentional. So you must understand this whole thing was done to intimidate and to ignore a certain segment of the population. And what the people must do is come out in mass to really show them that they can't hide. They may run, but they can't hide. So I'm listening to the conversation and I agree with that. You should take.
Yeah, but the point is, you can't come out in mass at the state house because every night you have a specific criteria persons to attend the presentation. So one night you have
But let me ask another question. Is there any way the organization could have a platform with the observers?
Well, I suppose that could be arranged.
That was supposed to have been arranged. You were supposed to be in the process, John. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You guys, the fact that you told me from the outside. Go ahead.
You realize that CCM and the other groups have met with these observers before, even while they were in Dominica, not around the same time before that. Yes, we actually met with them at the same state house, to discuss all of what is going on.
I'm saying CCM is supposed to be the premise of civic engagement in the country. The premise. I don't think it is as it's functioning right now. I think you guys have work to do. I'm willing to help to do that too. But I'm telling you, if you're the premier organization, your name has to be on that list. That's why I kept telling you and Zah about 2 years ago. The process, your personal decision is not always the group interest decision. And a lot of times we don't make that distinction in Dominica. There has to be a group decision, on what is the interest of the people in the group and the group's broader perspectives. But I'm just saying, that whole Byron thing, you have to be two-pronged, As a civic organization, you couldn't be disengaged from the Byron process, even while you're protesting that Byron process, You still have to be in that cog. You have to be in that cog.
Well,
and that's the fact where we lost out.
No, well, literally, the thing about it is that we have been working on this process through the Electoral Reform Coalition. And various elements of that coalition have made presentations. So it's not to say we are not involved, because we have had that strategic move for the coalition. So,
Mr. President, I don't think, all due respect, I don't think you get my argument. Mr. President, you are the premier civic organization. You are the premier civic organization. You don't get it.
Premier, we are one of the civic. We are one of the civic organizations, and we are playing.
Well, you're not, because you're not functioning as the premier. It's not because you're not functioning as the premier. But when you call yourself the Concerned Citizens Movement, understand what that is. Understand what that is.
Understand what you have to understand what it is. But we are, as
yes, so you cannot
in that context.
You cannot be the background in that conversation.
We are not in the
because
background.
you have to mobilize. You have to mobilize the people so they can come.
Yeah,
that's your job.
In the background. You have to take into consideration different elements to make a protest. I and John.
You have to be there, Mr.
2 of us go in there to have a protest. It is much more than that, and the protest has to be effective. So if we can,
but that's your job, to bring the one outside, to bring the one from outside. Let me tell you what's happening there. And I thank the UWP for making that move, that bold move to talk about Wednesday. But that's not supposed to happen like that, if we function in the right way, Lennox supposed to come with 3, 4, 5 of all the groups together, everybody organized, and we're going to town Wednesday. It's so the thing's supposed to go. I know it's frustration, and I understand, man, I have to just make, because sometimes people just slagging. But it's supposed to happen. 5 was supposed to be in queue today, talking about the thing. We going and do this. So you cannot be in the process in abstention. You don't have no abstention. This is 11th hour.
Well,
It's a war, this is, brethren. This is a war.
In some instances, the initiative have to start somewhere. So there is no problem if one organization take the initiative and the other organizations join up and
That's not what I'm saying, brother. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, this is a 15-year-old movement. This is a 15-year-old movement. It's been criticizing the government, but it itself has not grown as a movement. That is what I'm telling you. At 15 years of struggle, the cohesiveness that is supposed to exist among this organization, the cohesiveness, the communication, the collaboration in a small society like Dominica. I mean, that is sad that we still not fully constructed as a united. That is sad. 15 years in the same struggle.
Yeah, I think we should maybe put the focus on the joint efforts, given all the limitations and so on, because it takes resources, it takes time, and I mean, everybody is involved in one way or the other. So it's not as easy in terms of saying it, but we recognize, of course, that needs to be done, but it's going to take a lot of different resources and efforts to reach that point. Not because maybe John and I and Brother Zah in the forefront, but we cannot leave the rest behind. We have to go with the rest.
You see, folks, what I want to say,
that is the practicality of the situation we have on the ground. But it's not to say we are not doing what we believe is absolutely necessary, at least to make a point and make our presence felt.
Yeah, you have to make up a point. We are not talking about something that started last year or year before. Like Zed said, and like we know, that has been ongoing for probably over 15 years. Okay, we have had several rallies. CCM had a big rally by the bridge in 2019. I think we had 2 rallies. We've had several meetings. We had all the different groups that came together, the church and the business forum and all of that. They spent about 8 or 9 months putting together recommendations and all of that. That was presented to the Electoral Commission and the government. We have the Electoral we have the OSCS and observers and all of these organizations who have submitted countless number of recommendations. The government has not looked at one single recommendation in all of those years. As a matter of fact, they actually fought against it. And I said these things, the AG said that these things were not workable and that would create confusion. His words very clearly. So these guys has been adamant that they are not going to give reform. They have been against reform from day one. Even while the Baron was supposed to present his first report, the first phase of the report, in the middle of that, you can see how Skeleton has absolutely no respect for the citizens of this country. He called a snap election in the middle of a so-called reform process. And we accepted that. He came back into power, gave himself 5 years to be in power again. And these guys are now coming and talk about reform. And you have it like a Labour Party town hall meeting with Francine Barron, a Labour Party advocate, chairing that meeting. Daru was one of the main guys and the Prime Minister. Labour Party all over the place. They have chosen 3 areas where there are Labour strongholds to have these consultations. At in Granby, Portsmouth, and Saliby, I believe it is. The venue is in Charles Savre bedroom. And so you are saying to me that I'm looking at all of those things, and I'm going to go in there and form the food myself. I'm saying that this thing is a waste of time. That I respect your views, I respect other people's views, but I'm saying this thing is a waste of time. What we should be doing as a group is to go out there in the different communities and to present the recommendations by Dr. Irvin Andre and the patriots of this country as to what we want to go to Parliament. We will submit those things to the Electoral Commission as a group, as a body, as a collective body. We will sit, discuss it, and represent our recommendations for reform to the government and the electoral office. That is what must go to Parliament. And if they refuse to do it, according to Linton, Kaikul Kwasi. They're going to waste their
But John,
Yeah, but they have had
but John,
what's the time, man?
they have had
but
a lot,
John,
just a minute. They have
yeah.
had a lot of recommendations, and even in the process now, I mean, they cannot have had much more than what has been outpouring through the consultative process. So there is no shortage or limitation of recommendation in terms of what we have agreed to, in terms of the electoral reform coalition, in terms of the business forum.
There's nothing different, by the way. There's nothing different,
And even Q95 through Sheridan made a very splendid presentation yesterday. So all that reflects what the opposition, civic organizations, and so on have been thinking of. So all the recommendations are there. I mean, it's plenty
for years.
Even when I will go to give my presentation, a lot of it will be redundant because all these recommendations have already been forwarded to the.
You know how many you know how many Dominicans heard these things for the first time this week? The majority of Dominicans. In all what you thinking you on the queue and you on the thing. You know why they heard it this week? Gouvernement kiteni ebenuka ikute. You have to understand the environment that you work in, boy, the environment that the struggle is in. Gouvernement qui parle si men sala, yo kute. Yo kute.
But so brother said that is not quite right because
that is very right.
When we got the government got the last report, the final report. In fact, I hear the Prime Minister claiming he disseminated the information within 24 hours. That is not true. The government had the report. It's Lennox who went on the media and disclosed that he had the report. And since that report, we were in the forefront in terms of consultation. The government.
My brother, who was listening to you?
Since 2 months ago.
Who was listening to you?
I don't know what you're talking about because it was broadcast.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Well,
you think Mr. Sheridan, right?
It's on the radio.
You think Mr. Sheridan, right? Reading that thing last night. Mr. Sheridan, reading that thing last night is a whole different thing than Mr. Sheridan reading that for Matt on Q, you know.
I agree with
reading that thing last night, the people that listen to it, is people that would normally not ever listen to it, you know.
That's true. Yeah. I agree with you.
We have to understand the psychology of this event, you know, bro.
But then you also have to take the point that when you have the Prime Minister making his presentation, his supporters out there will also listen to him and they will go along with him. Yes, and they'll also go along with him. And there are so many persons I suspect that were put in place to call in and to make the points to support Byron's report. It's not funny.
But we could have put people in place to call in and make points. You keep having the argument from the other side, John. We need to start having the argument on ourselves.
I've got the balance.
That's what I'm trying to tell you for the whole night, you know, you and Coffee, you know. We have to have the argument on ourselves. You could have put people in place with specific questions, that reading that letter, that doing that thing. We could have employed the same strategy.
But I suppose there'll be a balance anyhow. So you have people calling, and then the other side have this calling as well. So people who listen to both sides and decide which way should I go. So do the balance. Hold please.
Yeah, I just want to call on the people to come out on Friday, on Wednesday, you know, and support the vibes. You know, I wanna thank the United Workers Party for that initiative. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please.
Okay. What you're talking about here, to get together and inform the people and put what our recommendations, what we, the people, want to recommend for electoral reform. This needs to be a united front.
That's correct.
That is the key to this thing, guys. NJAM, Civic Vibes, CCM, Munsewi, everybody needs to be represented on this thing. It needs to be a united front.
That's my point too.
All opposition, everybody have to come together.
Thank you.
Yep, that's my point
It
as
has
well.
to be properly organized. And then you go and meet and present what it is that the people, different groups, this is what we the people are saying that we want, we recommend. But it has to be united. This one can't do that and that one do that and that. It is too late for that.
Yeah, good point, yeah.
It has to be a major united front.
I'm happy.
We cannot be separated anymore.
I'm happy you made that point, because I made that point as well, that we should come together as one and put together our recommendations and submit it. So perhaps I could go along with Z to a certain extent, that we could combine those two. So we come together as a group, CCM, Freedom, NJAM, Munsewi, whatever it is, come together as one. We sit and we discuss and we agree on the recommendations that we're going to bring forward, and this probably could have been presented to the to what we have now.
But
perhaps that could have been
two things. I really didn't hear what Zed said, so okay. And also, time is of the essence. We don't have much time. Because look, they finished this week, and then they have these 3 strongholds they go into. I don't know when that is, and then we don't know where it's going after that. So we don't have much time.
There's a meeting on Monday for
the groups
and organizations.
Okay, so
they do what?
There's a meeting on Monday. One of the consultations on Monday. The consultation on schedule for Monday coming is for organizations and groups.
So that's the one coffee we will go into our president.
Well, maybe that is where everybody needs to meet over the weekend, get something together, and then at that Monday session, then
that's a short notice.
You know.
Well, in fact, there is some push towards something like that.
Well, I hope so, but like I said, it has to be properly organized, because you see how organized they are, right?
Thank you.
That Madam Chairman not letting nothing pass.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, so
but
we have to be in that same vein.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, good night.
But I said I take your point. I take your point. And while I don't feel comfortable in going and sit among these people, I think it would probably be a good idea if the different groups could come together and perhaps.
It's a sacrifice we have to make. It's a sacrifice we have to make.
And perhaps
or else they'll make a sacrifice of us.
Right.
But let them see some placard in the place, bro.
Probably go out to the different communities. I mean, the free communities that they're going to have the consultations. Perhaps we should follow them and go out there and present our case as well. I kind of want to retract a little. Perhaps we should go on that road. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a platform.
Well, some people can go to these free locations, but in the meantime, some other people could be planning, aside from that, for the Monday night session.
Yeah, it's only one Monday night, I believe.
We can't keep everything together. We have to diversify. Some people do the free locations, and some people work on, getting ready for Monday night.
But we also have to have a plan B in the event that these guys decide to put aside our recommendations and go forward with Byron's recommendations.
Right.
These guys, they are going to put aside your recommendations if you do not represent. If you the only thing that's going to stop these guys from doing what they're going to do is for the people to stand up.
Aside your recommendations.
But I don't understand.
You have your plan B, but you don't need to be talking about it.
No, hold on. I don't understand why you're telling me I should not talk about the people aside. But that's for years. They've been putting aside our regulations for 15 years.
I understand.
We have to have a plan B in the eventuality that happens. What do we do? What's our next course of action?
You know what you're going to do. sit there and verbalize it.
We have not said what we're going to do. I'm saying there should be a plan B.
Alone, man. That's not no secretive thing, man. That don't have to be secret.
No,
Leave that
we have not said what we're going to do.
I
All I'm saying is there should be a plan B.
We have to be bold-faced and real with the government.
Even if you say, should there be a plan B, you are not saying why you think there need to be a plan B. Stop putting all your information out here.
There's information out there.
No, man, leave that alone, sis. Come on, man. Let's move on, man. That's not about information. Everybody has to know what is going to be done, man. That is nonsense, you know. Listen, this is
everybody
a
has
struggle,
to know
man.
what's going to be done, but
everybody has to know. Everybody has to know.
Feeling about it.
Yes. We're going to stand up to the government if they do not deliver. If they don't, and that's not no secret bedroom conversation. That's part of the problem in the country.
I'm not saying to keep nothing secret, Zed. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
Please leave that alone, man.
All right,
leave that alone.
All right, yes. It's already after it.
Leave that alone, man. Leave that alone. That's
already it's 11.
Leave that
alone.
Right.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All
right.
But I said we need to wind up. We are actually over time.
Yeah, man. John, listen, John. One of the things that has been a thing is, you see, the people are scared of the government already, bro. Any type of planning that we're doing, we have to do it in a way that empowers the people, bro. It has to be confident. It has to be, these things are important. The body language, everything, you know, it's not no espionage thing. We're not going to try and overthrow the government. We're not going to burn nobody's house, brethren. We have to have the conversation openly and objectively. As long as you start making it look like something that you have to be afraid, you already kill the purpose. The people are already not going to come. We're not going to burn Roseau. We're not going to commit no violence nowhere. We're not going to attack no police. You understand? We can call on our people openly and positively and boldly. We have our right under the Constitution. We are not planning anything contrary to the conditions of the state. I want to call on the people, make themselves represent. Come out there, man. Let these people know that we want electoral reform. We want it done properly. There's nothing wrong with you as a citizen asking for that under the Constitution. Nothing wrong and illegal for you to ask for that.
Yeah.
Peace and blessings, brother.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Brother Zed, for your time, and you're good. Well, good is probably even too much of a small word to describe it.
Thanks, brother.
Often this kind of word to describe Zed's presentation. Extremely good. Yes, it's perfect, Zed, and you're always on point. Of course, you have to agree to disagree and so on. I would always agree with what you have to say, like, and vice versa. But it's good that we can have that sort of a discussion, you know, so we can find a way forward, so to speak.
God bless.
We hope that we can link up again very soon.
Yeah, man.
Take care, man. Yeah, thanks. All right. Watch me a few seconds. Let's wind up.
Yeah, well, I just want the general public, to be rest assured that from an electoral reform coalition perspective, because that is where the whole unity approach, the unified approach, is embedded through the electoral reform coalition. And there are already some suggestions proposed moving forward. It's not for me to divulge all of that through this program to the general public. But recognizing where we are with the consultative process, there are already some suggestions in terms of some step-by-step activities that are being proposed should be undertaken by the Electoral Reform Coalition. And as part or integral of those activities is the forum being put on initiated by the UWP, but it will be supported by all the civil organizations and so on. So all that is part and parcel of the approach going forward. So we want to maintain that unified approach. That is the approach we use to deal with the sham elections. I mean, it has had its problems because it's still a sort of loose kind of grouping that we put together. We try to give it some teeth in terms of strengthening that approach, and it has had its merits and demerits, but we are continuing to use it to bring that unified approach to the whole process.
All right.
So let's hope that as the members implement those activities and adopt those activities, you'll be hearing more in terms of, because I see things like island-wide mobilization, holding multiple protests and demonstrations, things like that. So there are a lot of things in the pipeline, is to put the flesh to it and to get the support of the citizenry to make it effective and to be able to implement.
All right, thank you, Watchman. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so it's 16 minutes to get out of here. So, Patriots, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for those of you who could call. And of course, we know there are always many more persons listening than those that will call in. So we do appreciate your call. We appreciate everything that you do for us and with us. And of course, we will be back here next week, Friday, if God is willing. So do have yourself a blessed evening, and of course, a blessed weekend. Look out for some rain on Sunday. That's what the weather says. Look out for some rain on Sunday into Monday, and just be careful on the road. Good night, and may God bless you.
Politicians, suck it up, greedy black man, suck it up, they suck up with country, the blood of my country. Hey, na, 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 na. Hey, how do you look it? Hey, Reban Sukuyaki, oh yeah, Reban Sukuyama. Hey, anybody with some red agenda, walk across a bag of sand, walk across a garlic, we stopping them this year. Reban Sukuyaki, oh yeah, Reban Sukuyama. Look it. Hey, let me go. They're sucking left, they're sucking right, anything inside. I always understood that my country was doing good. Whoa!